How's everyone in the gaming world doing today? This is Gameocide and I'm reviewing Livelock for PS4, Xbox One, and Steam. Let's get into it, guys. Livelock is a top-down twin-stick shooter. You can play solo, like I usually do.
I'm Mr. Lonely. I have nobody for my own.
Or you can play with up to 2 more friends online. You are one of the remaining capital intellects, and it's your role to unlock Eden and revive humanity. So, a bunch of shit got fucked up, you need to save it. So the story will have you start taking orders from someone named Satcom. Satcom has a lot of power to control most of the mechanics in the world, such as barriers and electrical frequencies. He'll open doors for you later in the game and stuff like that. And with your help, Satcom wants to retrieve 4 fragments, and these fragments will get you into Eden. There are not many characters in the game, but for robots and half-robots, voices sound pretty good. And the story is pretty well paced, and it's worth listening to all the way through. This is no masterpiece, but definitely a splendid tasting entree. In Livelock, we have 3 different characters, and they all go up to level 30. We have Hex, Vanguard, and Catalyst. Alright, first guy in the group, we have Hex. Hex is down for the kill. Anytime he has the chance to kill something, he wants to. He definitely has the funniest dialogue out of the 3 characters. He always says the right thing at the right time, and he says a lot of funny jokes throughout the game. Remember, each character has their unique dialogue, so playing through the characters, they'll say different things and have different feelings about what's going on. Next, we have Vanguard, definitely the sweetheart of the group, even as powerful as he is. He uses his ginormous fists and crazy mine launchers and Reaper autocannons to destroy his enemies, and he will leave no one alive, even though he does not want to kill anyone deep down inside like Hex does. Hex doesn't give a shit about you, but Vanguard will give you a nice hug. And now we have Catalyst. She's essentially the support player of the group, even though she's kind of like the leader. She talks like the leader, and she says a lot of inspirational things when the game's going around. She'll heal you, you have turrets, and of course, like all characters, you can rain hell with your LT ability. Every character has that, but they rain down some type of hell, whatever their character is. Whether it's fire, a crazy ass beam, or my drones shoot 1,000 missiles at anyone standing underneath them. Functions are like Hex's proximity mines or my hollow image or repair drone, and you'll unlock more once you level up more, and they're really cool, and they're all unique to each other in each person. You're not going to see one similar to the other. Catalyst doesn't have one that's super similar to Hex's. They're all unique to their character, and they work very well. And once you level up even more, you can have a function mod on them doing even more damage than they did before, or even healing you more. Whatever it is, it's pretty great having all those options at your disposal. When it comes to weapons, there's not too many weapons in the game, but there is enough to satisfy, and you can upgrade them whenever, and you can change out the weapons. There's not a huge variety, but it's decent. Hey, Gameocide, is there any other missions than just, hey, go shoot this? Well, actually there is. Sometimes there's escort missions, and there's some side missions every once in a while. You'll go in a barn or a mine, and it'll be like, hey, defeat these enemies, or upload this, and you'll be like, hey, okay, let's do that. But besides that, there's not too much, but it's a lot of fun fighting all these enemies. And talking about enemies, there are a great amount of enemies in this game. I was really shocked. I thought, there's gonna be 4 or 5 types per act, which is different places. Act 1's in New York, Act 2 is in Tokyo, and Act 3 will be set in Moscow. So there was no problems with the enemies whatsoever. There was just a huge amount of enemies, and they all act different. It wasn't just like, hey, a bunch of guys that just shoot. There's people that leech on you, people that jump away from my proximity mines when I place them. If I do shields, they wait for my shields until they attack me. The AI was great. For graphics, I gotta say I really like them. For a top-down shooter indie game, they did really well, and with added indestructibility, it really brings a nice ambiance to the whole game. I mean, it makes you really feel like a huge badass half-human, half-robot going through, smashing through cars and cinder blocks and leaving nothing in your path. Talking about graphics as well, the level design is quite great. I never found any level way too short or way too long. It might be awkward story pacing sometimes, but when it comes to level design, not at all. they base it on a 20-minute period, and faster you beat it in less than 20 minutes, more bonus you get. So if you beat it in 8 minutes, you get X amount of XP, and I think that's great. Some missions are easier than others, so maybe they should have clocked it differently, maybe 15 minutes or 10 minutes, but besides that, no complaints there. When you die in Livelock, there's not really a punishment. You don't go back to a spawn or have to start the mission all over again. You just go in a drop pod, but you do lose your time multiplier that's on the top right corner of the screen. That gives you more XP, and it times your XP every time you kill something, so that's very important for getting a high score. What this game's kind of all about, getting high scores in all the levels. And if you don't get high score in all the levels, mom's not going to love you as much. I'm going to be the one getting spaghetti and ice cream, and you're just going to be eating coal for the rest of your life, and doctors said you can't live on coal. And now we have protocol mode. It's essentially a survival mode. It's kind of like Call of Duty Zombies, but without any inspiration whatsoever. It's just a bunch of enemies on one map, and it's not even a very creative map. It's just a map with some things that they threw in here, and you just try to survive as long as possible, and once you die once, well, you're dead, and then you get to see your highest score at the end. But someone already has a billion score in this, so good luck on that, buddy. There's not much to really touch up on this. It's not very important, and it's really not that fun. So next. Unfortunately, this game does not have local multiplayer, which is really sad. I was looking on Steam comments, and they were extremely disappointed. A lot of people are now not purchasing the game because there's no local multiplayer. And I always complain that there's never online multiplayer, but now that there's no local multiplayer and only online, it's kind of disappointing. This game has 3 acts. Each act gets shorter and shorter, and of course we have 3 difficulties and 3 different characters. So we've done the math, and if you were to beat the game with all 3 characters, it's about 20 to 22 hours of gameplay. And if you play protocol mode or you help friends out, maybe you can reach that hour limit to about 30. But so this game has about an average shelf life of 30 hours, and even if you collect all these nice firmware here. If there's too much happening on the screen at once, of course we're going to have some frame drop, but it drops pretty bad sometimes, but that's only sometimes, and that's if a lot of stuff is happening on the screen. But with the level I'm currently playing right now, level 3-2, there is a lot of problems with this level, and they're trying to fix it as soon as possible, so just bear with the developers at this point. The 2 mini bosses at the end usually just stand still and take it like a man, and the frames drop tremendously to like 10-15 frames per second. It doesn't always happen with users. It definitely happens with me and a few other people, but if it doesn't happen to you, you're a lucky one. But they're trying to fix it as soon as possible, but that is one of the problems. We're not going to share what the final boss is, but I would like to say the final boss of the game is absolutely terrible. I thought everything they did with the story was right, and then once we did the final boss, I've never been so disappointed in a game at that point. Not disappointed in the game, but just the boss battle. It was almost like Assassin's Creed Syndicate's boss battle, where it was so out of order, using his magical powers to fight you off. That's kind of how it felt. It was totally not in sync with everything else, and it was just very lame and way too easy. I played a level 1 character, all 3 of the characters, and defeated that boss without dying. And I can prove that as well. Yeah, so you can use a level 1 character, fight the final boss in the game on hard, and not die. So that was a huge problem for me, that boss was one, way too easy, very bland. It was just a really disappointing boss battle at the very end. It just seemed like, oh, we ran out of ideas, here's this. And with the game's decent storyline and progression, and going through the very good looking levels and fun gameplay aspects using different functions and characters throughout the levels, and I've played through all the characters a lot, and I'm going to give this game a 7 out of 10 on Gameocide.